This is Growing Up Aspen, a Joiner's Table podcast with Chris Pomeroy and Andy Collin. And our guest today is Valery, as I know her, Valery Moore Kelly. One thing that we haven't touched with anyone, and you're really part of that community, is you're one of the girls that grew up with horses. My wife grew up with horses too. So can you talk a little bit about what that was like and doing, your equestrian or whatever it was? Because Voorhees rode. I know that there was Aaron Gibson rode. I know there were some other folks that rode. Can you speak to that
Absolutely.
group?
Oh yeah, that was one of the best parts of my life, no doubt. So I got my first horse, May. She's big. Well, not so big. None of my horses were big, but to me she was big because I was only 7. And Abacus May, she came from the Abacus farm up on maybe Old Snowmass. And first, before that, when I was little, my dad we had a donkey called Zelda. So I always loved animals. I had a dog. My sister Pam got a dog, Pippi, a golden retriever. My mom bred Goldens. And so I had Pippi from when I was little. So I was always like surrounded by animals, and out of McLean Flats, like my whole childhood, I was outdoors with the animals. I wasn't in ski school. I wasn't really in many activities in town or anything. I was like a little loner with a few friends up there on McLean Flats. And so at 7, I started riding May a mile down McLean Flats Road to the W/J rodeo arena where I 4-H.
Yep.
And then I got in about 76, I think I got Huey. Huey was a Mustang quarter horse cross, or so I think, that I bought from the Strangs. Kit Strang sold me Huey. And I had Huey for 20 some years, and I would just ride everywhere all over McLean Flats. Annie Richardson's another person. We grew up riding together. She lived down on Red Butte Drive. And so we would ride down the Rio Grande Trail all the time, back and forth. And I always remember at some point, we'd just be galloping hell for leather. I mean, we'd ride into town. We'd leave our horses at the stable. You remember there was a stable behind the courthouse?
Yeah.
So we'd leave the horses at the stable, and we'd go to a matinee at the Playhouse, and we'd tromp around the mall in our riding boots and buy some ice cream, and then get on and ride back home. And I rode to school, the country day, a few times, crossed the golf course. Maybe someone who's listening to this will be the guy who worked on the golf course who's like, wow, you were the I rode right across the greens. I had to. I just shortcut. I was late to school. I had to get there.
Well, that's you got nothing on me. I was riding my go-kart out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the rough a lot, but but right before they'd shut down and the sprinklers, you'd have free rein on the range, and every once in a while I'd get out there, and it was pretty fun. Wouldn't hit the tee or the holes, but Yep. So I had a lot of fun, and horses were just my love. I was always horse crazy, and so I started riding at the Goodnows. That's another Aspen family. Bill and Vivian Goodnow Gail. Gail, and Gail was an awesome rider. She was really, she was a great rider. She was talented. Yeah, I remember she was pretty serious.
Scrappy. She was scrappy, and so we grew up riding.
Did they live close to you? Because I remember going to the Goodnow's house when I was younger, for sure. Yeah,
just about probably just like a quarter mile from our driveway, which is called Sunnyside Lane. Just west downstream was the Goodnows on the left. It's a big house now down below the road, but I can still picture the Goodnows ranch, and we had a riding arena and a cross country jumps out in the fields, and then as I got older, we started, my mom was an equestrian too, so she had horses, and so she kind of taught me, and I learned to ride with her. And then the Roaring Fork Hounds from Strang Ranch would come. So Mike Strang and Kit Strang and Heather Tharp and all of the wonderful characters who were part of the Roaring Fork Hounds would come. Most of their hunting territory was there up on Missouri Heights, where Strang Ranch is. But once or twice a year in the fall is the hunting season. We hunted for coyotes with a pack of English foxhounds, but we never caught a coyote. It was just the fun of the chase. And so there was a pretty big field of people who would ride with the hounds.
Nick DeWolf has a really great set of photos from that.
He did. He came and photographed. And in fact, the photos in that set are the hunt breakfast after the ride was over with my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I've seen your house.
That was great because there were so many characters who rode with the hounds, and that was always really fun and adventuresome. And we'd be galloping across the countryside and jumping irrigation ditches and riding all along. So I always loved that. My favorite was to ride out in the open and to trail ride and to go explore up in the mountains. I used to ride with Pony Club at the end of every summer. We always traditionally rode up through Starwood, up onto the Forest Service trail, like up off of Edgar Stern's old driveway was where you would get into the Forest Service land. And there was an old logging trail up there. And we'd ride all the way up to the top to what was called Slab Park. And then we'd drop down the Sunnyside Trail and we'd get down to this little pond that we called Stein's Lake, which was Marge Stein's land. And that's where they had like a little swimming dock on that little pond. It was like an irrigation ditch pond.
Yeah.
We'd picnic there and we'd swim the horses and, a lot of great adventures like that.
Thanks for listening. The authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.